Well, let's get going here. Everybody, welcome back to Capital Connection. This is our second big series, and we're welcoming back MEC's Engagement Director, Sandra Turner-Handy, to talk about what I think might be her favorite project, the Detroit Denby Neighborhood, and the work that we've been doing in Detroit around that space, but in the context of the larger interest in elevating environment, conservation, health within the city of Detroit, places where Sandra has had extensive leadership as well. Sandra, welcome back. It's going to be great to chat with you.
Well, thank you. And I do love telling this story because it probably is my favorite work that I've done at MEC. It just, it spreads its wings into all the other work that I do.
So why don't we start with giving folks some of your personal background with Denby? Like, tell us. Well, so we have folks, as I just said, all the way from the Upper Peninsula. First, tell us where Denby is. How about that?
Okay, Denby is located on the east side of Detroit. We are positioned right before we go into Harperwood and East Detroit. Um, so we're at the very end of the east side of Detroit.
And what does Denby mean to you?
Denby means to me leader leadership, being able to teach the residents and youth in this area that has went through depopulation, disinvestment, that they have the power to recreate and redevelop their community into a clean, safe, and healthy community.
And you have a long personal history there?
Yeah, actually, I live a few blocks from the actual high school, but my son was not allowed to attend the high school because the high school had a lot of problems and our community had a lot of problems with vacant lots, vacant houses. Our crime stats were real high. So I actually got in the car and drove my son to a school outside of the neighborhood. And even going to a park, we didn't have parks for our kids in this community. So I drove my son outside of the community to another park, you know. So yeah, I have a deep love for that high school. I've been working with the young people there since 2013 and continue to work with them as now community leaders in the community and the residents. So I just feel honored and privileged that they allowed me to be called the lead around this group.
When you think back to those days when your son was growing up, how would you describe the state of environmental awareness and empowerment in the Denby neighborhood?
There was none. This community had been so marginalized and their voices were so low and not heard. And I would always hear people say, well, we can empower people. And I was like, well, you can't empower people because everybody is born with power. But what we can do is re energize their voices.
Mm-hmm. You've said these words to me before, that when we say empowerment, it can sometimes take away people's power. Can you talk just a little bit more deeply about that concept that we all already have our own power?
It is my firm belief that we are all born with power. And, it's how we use that power and to what extent. And for a long time, people of color have used that power. They used that power through, slavery. They used that power through Jim Crow. They used that power through the civil rights movement. They used that power through the drug movement that hit our city so hard, to overcome these things. We've used our power, but then we became marginalized because people began to also want to use our power, but not hear our voices.
Mm-hmm.
So we began to talk less and less because we felt that we were becoming the go-to people for the information, but we weren't given credit.
Right. Sure.
So we began to speak less and less to the point where our voices were so low, we really weren't being heard. And that created another problem because what it led to was people forgetting we were here.
Mhm.
So part of the Denby project was to re-energize that power, not only in our students, but also in our residents, so they could really understand they had the power to change their own community. We don't have to live in a community where we feel unsafe, that's not clean, that's littered with blight and vacant homes, and our young people scared to walk to school, because girls are scared they're going to be pulled into a vacant house, or they're going to be robbed, or our kids are going to be robbed. And these are instances that have happened. So their fear was real.
Absolutely.
Even the fear of in front of the school set a 2-story apartment building that had been open danger structure for many years, that was right in front of the bus stop. 4:30 on a winter afternoon, it's dark outside. And everybody knows Detroit does not have the best transportation. The bus may not come for a long time. And can you imagine girls having to stand at this bus stop in front of this vacant structure? We told 216 seniors. Now they're seniors, so they're 17 and 18 years old, voting age. You have a whole lot of power.
That's right.
You can vote. And every one of those seniors called downtown and told them they wanted that building demolished. They went on spring break, came back, that building was gone. And that alone showed these young people we do have power to change things in our community. And since that point, they knocked on the doors of adults. They got adults involved. So now we got adults and youth working together to change the community. And that's what's important, is that we're developing these leaders to continue to make this community where we can repopulate it, we can get development in our community, but we also have a voice in that development and the decisions that are being made concerning redeveloping this community.
So 8 years ago, um, you're in a neighborhood that has faced myriad challenges, and this incredible opportunity comes up, rooted in the Detroit Future City Plan, funded by the Kresge Foundation, and community-driven process for envisioning a better future for the city of Detroit, starting within the neighborhoods. And your community came together to create the Denby Neighborhood Alliance.
Yes.
What is the Denby Neighborhood Alliance? Who is it, and what was their goal?
The Denby Neighborhood Alliance was actually started by the senior class of 2014 back in 2013, and their goal was three-pronged. It was academic rigor, community redevelopment, and community activism, because we really felt it was important that our young people be able to connect their education to all aspects of their lives, because education is still number one, but we really wanted them to be able to use it in their everyday lives. And through the Detroit Future City framework, they were able to do that. So they actually started the Denby Neighborhood Alliance along with their teacher, their civics teacher, Jonathan Way, who's now at Kresge, as a matter of fact.
That's great.
And they actually did a capstone project that required them to pick a challenge or a problem within their community or the city of Detroit, do extensive research, develop a solution, and then do an oral defense of it. which we call a master's capstone project, but this was high school students. And from that, we picked each year we would pick a legacy project that we would work on to try to make it come to fruition. One of these problems we would choose and work on. And I have to say, through Kresge, our first legacy project, we were able to accomplish.
And that first project is Skinner Park,
Yes.
adjacent to the Denby High School. Tell us a little bit about Skinner Park and what it looked like 8 years ago.
Skinner Park was a 6-acre playfield, had 2 football uprights, and a small children's playscape on one end, and nothing else. It was used as a playfield, for practice. Our young people, one of our young people's projects said that they did not have a safe place just to hang out. And I knew that to be true because I had been taking my son out of the community for years to parks in other areas of the city that offered amenities and, they were clean, they were safe. I didn't have to worry about, him being at the park. And so this project, I said it at one of our process leaders / impact table, that this was going to be our legacy project. And Kresge at the time says, okay, here's your seed money. And we took that seed money and then we partnered with Life Remodel. And to go back to that 3-prong of academic rigor, the part of academic rigor, our young people working with Detroit Collaborative Design Center from UD Mercy designed a $1.4 million park.
Nice. That's very ambitious. That's a big dream for a place that hasn't seen really any investment in a long, long time.
Very big dream. And we were able to accomplish it. And they actually had to use their math because they had to design scale to fit. Okay. Everything they wanted in that park, they got, except for a water fountain and a dog park, only because the city was not licensed for dog parks at the time. And every time it rained, the park flooded. So the last thing we needed was a fountain, a water fountain. But that park now provide amenities for residents of all ages in the community. We have 2 basketball courts. We have a volleyball court, a pickleball court, a golf putting green, a horseshoe pit, a children's playscape, a children's reading mound. We have an apple orchard. We have 30 raised beds. We have $100,000 arts and culture pavilion. It just offers a lot for community.
And it wasn't just about the 6 acres of the park. There was a neighborhood around the park, which had a few places in it that you all thought were pretty dangerous.
Yes, and you said a few places. The park actually sits a couple of blocks out of the zip code that is known the most violent zip code in the city of Detroit. So it was dangerous. But bringing something into the community that residents really invested in and basically told everybody doing something wrong, this is a safe space. We're not going to have anything going on at this park. And the park has now been used for birthday parties and school alumni parties and reunions, and I mean all kind of events. The Tigers just came and did an event at the park for their opening day. The park has really served to bring community together, but it's also allowed our young people to see that what things that they want can come true in the city of Detroit, that they can make a difference in their community.
And this project that started with the senior class of 2014 has continued, and you do neighborhood development days and cleanup days, and there's extensive neighborhood stewardship of this place. Tell us a little bit about how the community engagement has continued to take ownership of this project.
We actually have, well, we actually have a second part that community helped develop for the younger kids, because the big kids kept taking over the basketball courts and our younger kids didn't have a place to play basketball. So we created a smaller family park called Commemoration Park for our kids 12, for families with kids 12 and under, which has a basketball court, of course, for the kids and other amenities for the families. Um, but we currently have a project called the Whittier Enhancement Project, because we have a beautiful community with beautiful brick homes in it. But if you drive down our business corridors, you'll never turn down a side street because our business corridors look so bad. We have two of our students from the class of 2014, the initial class, that are leading a project called the Whittier Business Enhancement, which will take one of our business communities, completely overhaul it for a mile and a half. It will provide landscaping, benches, flower boxes, working with the businesses to paint their facades and bring awnings, and just create a business corridor that is welcoming for new businesses and for residents.
So the vision that the students had 8 years ago, do you feel like that has been fully realized?
Oh no, we have a whole lot of legacy projects still to be worked on. And one was a big thing around homelessness, because a lot of our kids are homeless. And the students wanted to take some of the vacant duplexes and work with architects from our local universities, and then work with skilled trades, because maybe not all of our students are going to college, but they can acquire a skilled trade that will provide them with a good life. So we wanted our kids to have this exposure, not only to, university people, but also skilled trades. And so we wanted to have them to learn how to design energy efficient homes in these vacant structures, learn the skilled trades, and then learn, working with a management company, how to manage these households. And they wanted for some of the homeless families to be able to live in them.
I love the continuing connection to neighborhood redevelopment and sustainability, the linkage between those two, and then pulling in the job training part of it. So you said kids are learning about energy efficiency. I imagine that also means they're thinking about how electricity comes into the house, and careers as electricians, which are well-paying jobs, and
Yes.
construction engineers and designers, and as you said, uh, housing managers. There's a lot of great career path there that would be meaningful, not just to Denby, but to lots of neighborhoods all across the state of Michigan.
Yes. And some of the other things that they're learning around our natural environment is like trees. We had our young people come and plant trees on two of our business corridors to cut down on the car emissions, and they're learning that trees are great buffers. We're in a community that lost most of their trees to the ash border disease,
Yeah, yeah.
and so replanting these trees not only bring beauty to the community, but it also serves as a buffer, to reduce air pollution in the community. And the kids are learning those type of things as they do this work.
And protect against heat sinks. Lots of great, powerful benefits to those natural systems being restored in places like Skinner Park.
Yes.
The MEC was your home base when this project kicked off and you started providing leadership there. but we're pretty much known as a Lansing organization. Although now we have an entire Detroit team, and we're working with member organizations, statewide organizations, neighborhood-based organizations in the city, citywide organizations. Um, Tell us about how MEC has changed in your experience over the years via your leadership on projects like the Denby Neighborhood Alliance.
Well, MEC is not considered just a Lansing-based organization anymore. You know, our major staff may be in Lansing and our work may be in the capital, but there's a direct communication to Detroit. You know, 13 years ago, when I started this work with MEC became very well known as a person, as a group, an organization that's has a base in Detroit. We have a Detroit office. It may not be brick and mortar, but the work that we've done throughout the years have allowed so many organizations to understand that we're at the table in Detroit. We're at the table for the sustainability action agenda. We're at the Detroit environmental agenda table. We're on the green task force. We're sitting at the impact table. We're sitting at the Detroit Food Policy Council table. We're really involved in a lot of the environmental issues that are going on in the city of Detroit. You know, I sit on the MEJC table, which is a statewide organization that's based here in in Detroit. And so we're really involved. MEC is involved in so many of trying to mitigate the environmental issues that are impacting the health and the lives of residents in the city of Detroit that, you know, people say, you know, they're located in Lansing, but we got an office in Detroit.
So tell us why it's been so important to you and your colleagues on the Detroit team to make Detroit a priority in the broader environmental movement, and how does the Denby work fit into that?
It fits into it because, as I told you, this community, their voices were so low, and that is the way it is across the city of Detroit, especially when it comes to environmental policy being conducted in Lansing. Our voices are not really being heard. And our Detroit team has made it a mission, and MEC has set it as a goal that we want more of those Detroit voices at the state capitol. It is so important when they are conducting environmental policy based on data, but they don't have the stories. They don't know the work that's going on the ground that is really going to give them insight into how these environmental issues truly impact people's lives on an everyday basis.
We got a couple of questions from the listeners today. Um, do you know how many homes have been accommodated to help the homeless population? And can you talk a little bit about that work?
I do not know how many, but I know that we have a lot of transitional housing going up in the city of Detroit. Uh, but my fear is that as we begin to redevelop the city of Detroit, that we're going to see a lot of gentrification within the city with the redevelopment, because we have so much contiguous vacant land. Which is one of my biggest concerns, because I don't feel like residents' voices are really going to be at the table in making the decisions about redeveloping these communities. So I'm organizing and I'm advocating and getting residents to, again, re-energize their voices. So I don't know. I know we have a high homeless population. Some of that is directed around mental illness and not wanting to be in these transitional housing due to rules and regulations. And so we have to come up with another way of how we're going to protect those with mental illness that are living on the street. But I also know that a lot of our homeless populations are single mothers. That's a very high number. And I know that a lot of our organizations, housing organizations in the city of Detroit, are working to address that with low income housing within the city.
And the success of the Denby Neighborhood Alliance is an inspirational story. Can it be replicated in other places across the city? And how would you like to see MEC participating in that?
It can be, and a lot of our funders are really supporting capacity building around the city. You know, getting those groups that's on the ground doing the work, because Denby is not unique to the city of Detroit. We have work going on across the city with grassroots organizations that are really working hard at it. But the thing is building that capacity within these communities, again, I'm going to say, who feel their voices have been marginalized and they can no longer make a difference. But it's about re-energizing those voices and getting them invested into their communities. So Denby is not unique. Just that name may be unique, but we have projects going on across the city and communities, and they are so awesome.
That's great. And last question for you. As you look to the future of the Denby Neighborhood Alliance and this project in this community, how do you see it sustaining itself over the long haul? And what do you hope the Denby neighborhood looks like because of this project 20 years from now?
Um, First of all, I'm going to tell you how we're going to sustain this using young people. Getting young people invested in the project to carry it on, become those leaders. You know, my two young people from the class of 14, they're going to be Sandra Turner-Handy. When Sandra Turner-Handy step back, she's already covered. You know, we got somebody that's going to be leading the charge, you know, and that's the thing is that, you know, in the city of Detroit, we do not need to create or transform a city that meets my needs. I'm older. We need those young people at the table talking about a city that they want to live in. And that's the city we should be trying to capture. Those are the plans and designs and ideas that need to be captured as we begin to reinvest in our communities. 20 years from now, I don't see the community that I saw 20 years ago. I see a new community, and I see a community. We talk about walkable communities. I see a community where I can walk to the grocery store, where I can go sit in the park, where I can go get an ice cream from the ice cream shop. I can take my clothes to a cleaner's up the street. You know, I see a community that offers enough amenities, not so much that we're locked into our communities, but we know they're there and we can support our communities and our businesses in our communities instead of having to go outside of our city to grocery shop, you know, to go to a Walmart if people go to Walmart, or go out to dinner, that type of thing. We need that right here in our community.
Sandra, thank you so much. Thank you for your leadership on this project and at MEC. And I love the frame that you put around this of re-energizing people to an awareness of their own power so that they can create the transformations around them that make their lives better, healthier, more sustainable. And I hope that that ends up being one of your legacies from your time here at MEC.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And I just thank everyone that supported me in this ground up idea of investing in a community that was really written off of the map in the city of Detroit. So I just thank all those supporters like Kresge that just came into the picture and said, here, we got you. And they've had me ever since. So
that's great. And everybody, thank you for joining us again. It's been lovely to have you. I hope you enjoyed today's talk with Sandra Turner-Handy. We will see you, I hope, again sometime soon. Sandra, it has been a real pleasure.
I have one last thing to say real quick.
Go for it.
Thank MEC for allowing me to work within the space I live in to create a better community in the city of Detroit in hopes that it just flourishes across our whole city. Thank you for supporting Detroit.
Wow. MEC loves you as much as you love MEC. That's I know that in my heart. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you all.